Which they did. They found Ian. Fortunately, because of the tracker of the iridium, he actually gave them the lat along the boat, speed, course, bearing, etc. They tried the sat phone anyway, yet no answer. So they knew where the boat was, where it was going. My PLB is registered as a separate item. He's doing 2.5 knots this direction. So they knew I was in the water. And I went up and down in the swell. But I mean, electronically they knew where I was, but it was actually getting a visual, eyes on. Yeah. And that for them was actually quite difficult.
That footage was taken from the plane, the actual plane that was looking for Nige at the time. Don't forget, it was doing 300 kilometres per hour. So it really was like looking for the proverbial needle in the haystack.
We tasked our Challenger rescue jet out of Cairns that arrived on location a couple hours later. We also tasked a Northern Territory Marine Unit, Northern Territory Police Marine Unit out of Gove.
AMSA commissioned 6 Challenger jets from Cobham Aviation Services, who have hubs that cover all over Australia. Each jet is fitted with a search camera system called VIDAR. This visual detection technology is specifically used to find life rafts and people lost at sea. It is the world's first optical radar, developed in Australia by Sentient Vision, and detects different colours and shapes against the background of the water. And it was thanks to Nige's bright jacket that they were able to locate him. Even so, they explained that he was a single pixel on the screen, disappearing behind waves as Nige just mentioned. At this point, he was already many miles from his yacht, and the closest town was the remote port of Nhulunbuy off the Gove Peninsula, 93 kilometres away.
Things are now out of Nige's hands. All he has to do is concentrate on sculling in the water, avoiding tiger sharks and secondary drowning. Meanwhile, the AMSA jet did a series of flybys from different angles. This was to build a map of prevailing winds, sea state and the effects of the current in order to drop a life raft. Aboard the plane was Aircraft Mission Coordinator Ollie Marin, who explained how difficult this part of the mission was. A successful drop and an unsuccessful drop is separated only by a matter of 3 to 4 seconds.
Ollie is at the back of the aircraft with the 3 screens in front of him. He's on comms to the girl at the back. So they've opened up a hatch at the back of the aeroplane. She hoofs out the raft and the line. They've got to get all of this timing absolutely down pat. They normally drop about 400 meters of line, and they try to make you the target roughly in the middle of it. And you just see this line coming out the back of the aeroplane. PVC mat that had pouches in it. Fortunately, with big print, they said food, water, radio. Right, I've gone to the radio, got the radio out, turned it on, spoke to Ollie in the aircraft, told them I'm safe, and at that they've gone, cool. Then they can go off and actually get fuel. I didn't realise this at the time. They've actually gone to get fuel, and this other aircraft is circling me to let me know that somebody knows I'm actually there. There was a police boat on its way, but he wasn't going to be with me for another 3 to 4 hours. So I was like, okay, lay down and have a sleep.
And can you believe it? He did actually get some sleep. Mind you, he must have been completely knackered by then.
Yeah, Nige, when I spoke to him, has some funny anecdotes about those 4 or 5 hours he spent in the life raft. A fluorescent glow stick, accidentally knelt on it, broke it, and covered himself all over in fluorescent yellow paint. And in fact, if you look at the body cam footage of his eventual rescue from the life raft, as he's being dragged over the side, you can see he's covered in yellow. The other funny thing he did was he was looking for something to eat, and he found a packet of granules, and he thought, oh, emergency rations, and tucked into them before he realised it was actually sea dye.
Oh no! Oh.
Sea dye is what you throw out the back of the life raft, which of course leaves a great big fluorescent trail in the water so the aircraft can see it. He started eating this.
I can see his teeth from 1,000 miles.
Apparently, when he was rescued by the police boat, he was covered in fluorescent paint.
I went down the pub with them afterwards, and after we had a few beers, they presented me with a packet of sea dye to chew on should I get the munchies later.
It took the boat 5 hours to reach him, and he had drifted more than 20 miles from his man overboard location. It then took them 7 hours to return to Nhulunbuy, and he was greeted by the ambulance service and taken to hospital. Fortunately, his only injuries were 2 broken ribs. I think at this point we should look at some lessons learned.
Let's examine the gear that saved Nigel's life. You'll find links in the description to all the gear that we're going to discuss now. Nigel's wearing a Spinlock life jacket. We recommend the Spinlock Deck Vest 6D, which is a fully featured lightweight front opening life jacket harness with automatic inflation.
It also includes a large clear spray hood, something that Nige benefited from. But even with the hood, Nige did ingest quite a bit of salt water, and in fact he lost his voice for 5 days after the experience. But he does say without that spray hood he probably would have drowned. The vest also features a single wide leg strap, it has a light, and it can be fitted with Spinlock's HRS system. They've been working on it for some time now, and the idea is that it's something that you can easily release yourself from the jackline were you to go overboard.
You'll also notice the D6 has a number of loops for you to connect the other gear we're going to discuss in a moment.
Easily release yourself from the jackline were you to go overboard.
You'll also notice the D6 has a number of loops by having one with a curved end.
I think we might get some hook knives as well. They're quite useful little things to have clipped permanently onto your life vest. Yourself from the jackline were you to go overboard.
You'll also notice by having one with a curved end.
I think we might get some hook knives as well. They're quite useful little things to have clipped permanently onto your life vest. Yourself from the jackline were you to go overboard.
You'll also notice the D6 has a number of loops for you to connect the other gear we're going to discuss in a moment. Always carry a knife, but make sure it's safe by having one with a curved end.
I think we might get some hook knives as well. They're quite useful little things to have clipped permanently onto your life vest.
Try to have a handheld VHF with you. Waterproof, obviously. It's going to be really useful if an aircraft or a vessel comes to your aid.
Perhaps the single most important piece of equipment you're going to have on you if you're in the water, so that's certainly the case from Nigel's experience. We do recommend an article by Yachting Monthly. They published one earlier this year, and they looked at the best PLBs on the market, as well as man overboard AIS units as well. We've got a link in the description to that article. These are different to a personal locator beacon. They are using AIS instead of the 406 MHz frequency. Of course, this will allow you to be seen by other vessels in the vicinity. In Nigel's case, unfortunately, he hadn't seen a boat for days, so they're only of any use if you are in a busy area.
Who knows what a heliograph is? Well, basically it's a mirror, that's all it is.
He hadn't seen a boat for days, so they're only of any use if you are in a busy area.
Who knows what a heliograph is? Well, basically it's a mirror, that's all it is, a reflective surface.
Which we use for weather forecasting when we're offshore, as well as simple communication with family and friends. Now, Predict Wind offers the most comprehensive weather package available to mariners, from forecast tables, wind, wave, gust, cloud, isobar, air temperature, sea temperature maps. I mean, the list is endless. Now, the thing with Predict Wind is if you buy a SIM card and a data package through them, they set up a free tracking service on a map, which you can embed in a website, and allows your family and friends to monitor the movement of the boat, and it gets updated every hour. This was essential to the recovery of Nigel's boat, which we're about to find out about in a moment.
And now here's how you can grab a free Spinlock 6D life vest and an Ocean Signal PLB1. All you've got to do is put a comment below this video. We will choose our 2 favourite comments. What you need to do is add a hashtag to your comment, either hashtag Ocean Signal or hashtag Spinlock HQ, to make sure that your comment counts. There are no rules, we're just going to choose our favourite 2. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And Predict Wind is offering a fantastic 15% discount off any weather package purchased through their website, predictwind.com. All you have to do is add the code Follow the Boat to your purchase. Details are in the description. These fantastic offers run until the 25th of July, and they are exclusive to Follow the Boat YouTube viewers. So big thanks to Spinlock, to Ocean Signal and to Predict Wind. So what did happen to Nigel's boat, and more importantly, where and what happened to Stinky?
Because I said earlier, when I set the bearing wrong and the yacht went past Truant, the yacht buggered off on its own. And friends of mine here in Nhulunbuy, because they had access to the tracker on Predict Wind, they could see where the boat was going. The boat actually did over 130 miles on its own, and literally the contents of the boat was on the floor. I don't know what the boat went through on the way, but it must have gone through some fairly rough weather. But when the guys actually got to the boat and they stepped on board and they could see the cut jack line over the side, they found the knife in the cockpit where I chucked it in, and then they looked inside and they said the boat was just trashed. Everything was on the floor, and they've literally had to use a boat hook to lift stuff out of the way so they could get in. And then, of course, they've heard the cat at the front. They've gone up, given her some water, some food. She was not happy. But once they'd fed her and she'd had a drink, she kind of settled back down. And by the time they got back here and on the anchor, she was as good as gold.
So Stinky and Bison lived to sail another day. Hooray! Nigel wanted us to make sure that we do let everyone know that it was Andrew and David, his great friends, who rescued Stinky, found Bison and sailed her safely home to shore.
For being so open with us and allowing us to probe him with lots of questions so that we can draw some lessons from his experience.
I've got to say I learned a lot from your conversation with him. It's been really interesting. There's a lot of stuff we need to buy.
There certainly is, yeah. And also thank you to AMSA, the Australian Maritime Safety Authority, and of course to the Northern Territories Police Force, who eventually saved Nige. Cheers, guys.
Very important that people do buy and register their PLBs or their EPIRBs, etc. Because if you are out there and something goes wrong, they need to know who to call. And if you're a reliable contact person, like it might be Mikey out on the boat, but he's got his mate Jono and Davo with him, then rescue authorities know they're not just looking for one person, they're looking for three. Get it in, get it registered, because that makes your life so much easier for the search and rescue crews.